When I think of talent in Formula One, one of the first names that comes to mind is Lando Norris. But with a recent article talking about how he's doing a, to put it lightly, crap job, it makes me think that Lando has been under a lot of pressure this year, and has he really shown himself at his best when under pressure? Because a lot of these moments are crucial for his future career. Now, I love Lando Norris, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great driver that has probably, if not the utmost potential in our league right now in Formula One. He was the only person this year to, I would say genuinely on race pace, challenge Max Verstappen. Sure, we had Alonso in Monaco, but with the exception of that, he was pretty close in Silverstone. In Brazil, he was very competitive, almost even overtook him, and there were a couple more instances that I want to dive even deeper into. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're new here, that would mean the world, and like the video if you're already here. Helps push the video. Thank you so much for support. Let's get into Lando Norris. So as I said, Lando Norris has kind of been, as he puts it in better words, not doing a great job. He specifically talks about Saturdays, but I want to talk about 5 in particular instances where I think Lando Norris has kind of fallen under the pressure. And no, I will not bring up Sochi 2021. I think that was McLaren's fault. Personally, it was kind of on both of them, but more on McLaren. Lando Norris, as I said, is a pure talent. I think his racecraft is great. I think his defending needs to get a little bit better, and particularly defending Max Verstappen. I think that most of those guys mooch in the background and he just lets them pass. Obviously, I'm joking, but that's kind of what it looked like in Coda. But there are 5 particular instances where Lando Norris, to me, kind of choked under the pressure. Qatar being the famous one that I want to get into lastly. Recently, right now in Abu Dhabi, Mexico was another one of those. Spa was another big moment for him. And I want to talk about Silverstone, the first being Silverstone. So when watching the race, McLaren was clearly strong in Silverstone. They put on that chrome livery, they were looking back to the 07 days, they were like, all right, it's time to go. And Lando was on it. First gets into P1 off of a beautiful start, keeps Max behind in 4 laps, and what does he do? He lets Max go for a Sunday stroll. And this to me was confusing because then Max in the interview after talks about, listen, if Lando kept me back for another couple laps, my tires were getting hot, we were going to have to go for an undercut or an overcut strategy. And in the very end, they made the actual proper decision staying off on the hards. They would have won that race if it played out the same way, but with Lando in P1. So potential win there, loss. Could this be also McLaren? A little bit. They probably told him to lift off. I don't see this one as that big of a pressure cooker for Lando Norris. Yet again, I do want to mention I love his driver. This is only talking about really from his perspective and what he's really been saying in the media. Spa was another one of those big moments. We all went into this weekend thinking Lando Norris will be performing here in Spa. And what does he do in qualifying? He bottles it, puts it out into gravel, and hurts his floor. Now this put him in a very difficult position. Wasn't able to qualify it as hard, and in the race, Oscar Piastri now pits before Lando, getting the advantage there, and the car was superb in that sprint race. Now, I think if Lando was leading the sprint race just like Oscar was, he would have won. And why do I say this? I mainly mention this because for Lando, he has been much better on tire saving than Oscar Piastri was. Oscar literally within like the first 3 laps ruined those intermediates. While Lando definitely could have had them perform for a lot longer, it wasn't a long race as is. He's been actually really good on his tire management and showed why he is that league above Oscar, regardless of what it says in qualifying or whether Oscar won that Qatar sprint race. Lando still is the better driver, and it's still pretty clear as of right now. Not meaning that Oscar's not good. Oscar's really good, and I do think that he's putting that pressure on Norris. I think that's kind of been where all this stress for him and doing a bad job from Norris is really coming out of on Saturdays, and why he makes these, as I would say, stupid errors. They're not really errors that come with Lando. I think he's one of the cleanest drivers in qualifying, and if not, really up there with like Leclerc and Max Verstappen when it comes to qualifying form. His laps are clean, they're efficient, they're fast. That is usually when I think of Lando, I think of qualifying because he just is that good in that 1 lap extraction. But yet again, Spa to me wasn't that bad. So we go into Mexico. This one is kind of on the medium level. He chokes it up in the qualifying. The car was looking very strong there. They were a draggy car. They had the potential in the race, makes it back up to P5. Shows his racecraft. This one wasn't that bad, but in qualifying, yet again, bottling another attempt. Now let's talk about Coda. So in COTA, I think Lando pretty much extracted what he could in qualifying. Now in the race, could the car have been faster? I think so. I mean, I think he did his best with the tires. Yeah, again, though, he didn't defend Max at all. But then Lewis comes through and he defends him like this is the end world. I question the decision to not defend Max. Max had a problem. Max at the very end of the race could not even finish, barely, and Lewis almost caught him. So if Lando was able to defend Max for another 2 to 3 laps on those bad brakes, would he have had a chance? Now, these are all ifs, obviously, but Lando kind of just doesn't go for it. That's kind of my issue. He doesn't have the balls to the wall mentality that Max does. You think Max would let you pass? Even if Max was in a Williams, I'm just going to give this example. You put Max in a Williams, you put Lewis Hamilton in the RB19. I swear to you, Max would send him into the wall to defend him. Now, is that the right thing? Is that fair? Probably not, but that just shows a different mentality side because he's going for the win. Even if it doesn't even look possible, Max will go for it. That was what actually got him to where he is, the 3-time champion that he is right now. Lando needs to have that same thing. I think Leclerc lacks that real kick to him as well. Both these drivers kind of lack that, and that's where Qatar comes in for me. So in Qatar, this was the race that we all predicted McLaren will be the strongest. And guess what? On actual race pace, they were officially the strongest car, off merit. Now, the strategy even played into their factor. They didn't have to care about tires. They just go shred, shred, shred. And that's exactly what McLaren did. Norris made his way through the field, but when he got to Oscar, he had to stop. Now, why is this? Because in qualifying, he went over the line over and over and over again. And even Oscar did, but Oscar put in a better lap than Lando did, and that put Oscar ahead. So now when they run into each other, team orders, and Lando was never able to get him. The ending gap was about 4 seconds. Lando literally went from whatever position that he was to up to that P3 within a very small amount of time and could have caught Max. If he started P1, which he should have off of the pace that he had, he would have run that race. Off of merit, he was the fastest driver. So he himself bottled it. He cracked under the pressure, and that is just something that has become kind of a common occurrence for Lando, sadly. I think he's very harsh on himself. I think he speaks about mental health all the time, and I love that about Lando. I think that's a very cool thing because clearly you can tell that the guy cares about what he is speaking about, and that's something that I love. I love Lando as a personality, but I love him also as a driver. The guy is sick, and he's also young. I do think he's a bit harsh on himself. I do think the pressure will rile down as he gets better, but this is kind of the first year that we've seen him in a car that could potentially win. While it might be fair and few, it is still potential that I think Lando needed to extract to really lay off the pressure. Now going to 24, if they have a better car, Oscar's going to be right on his tail. It's going to put in a spinner. But my real question to you guys is, what do you guys think about Lando's 23 season? And will he improve or will he crack? I'd love to know what you guys think, because to me, this has kind of just been my thought process with Lando Norris. It was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw him throw away that pole position in Abu Dhabi. I'm not really going to talk about that one. They didn't have the car to win, but the other examples all, were pretty accurate as to what happened with Lando in 23. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to hear them. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.